Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Karis Circle. Karis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Karis Books, and Karis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. Thank you. We are turning 50 this year, and so it is a real treat to honor other feminist organizations doing work around the South. We are very proud to welcome Laura McTighe and Deon Haywood. Two women with a vision, and all of the women with a vision in this room, to celebrate a discussion of their book, Fire Dreams, Making Black Feminist Liberation in the South. We're very excited to welcome Desiree S. Evans as our moderator tonight. Fire Dreams is a vital toolkit for grassroots organizers, activist scholars, and all those who dream to make the world otherwise. This event tonight is co-sponsored by Access Reproductive Care Southeast, Black Feminist Future, Feminist Women's Health Center, the Georgia Harm Reduction Coalition, Sister Love Inc., Sister Song Women of Color, and Project South. We always feel blessed to be in the space of so many people fighting, doing the very day-to-day ordinary work of saving people's lives. And when we try to describe that to other people, we talk about what it means to putting much emphasis on sitting in a room with people and filing paperwork and, going and holding somebody's hand in the hospital, as any of the other things, as lobbying, as, all the things. Everybody in this room knows what it takes. And right now, we are under attack in Georgia on every front. I know Louisiana is under attack. And so it means a lot to me for our community to see possibility models of different futures. So thank you for being with us. And so I want to let folks know that you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. If you're watching virtually, just put your question in the chat and we'll vocalize it into the room. If you are here with us in person, please raise your hand when the time comes, and I'll bring a microphone to you because we really want your voice to be heard. So without further ado, please put your hands together one more time for Fire Dreams.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Atlanta. Full house. This is really amazing. And I'm just kind of nervous, but I'm really excited because I haven't seen Deon and Laura in so long.
I know.
But I'm a storyteller, and this is the place of stories, Cher's Bookstore, 50 years, amazing. And this is an event about our stories, about how we tell our stories and how we render ourselves visible and make our stories a roadmap for others to follow. And so I'm really excited to be here tonight to moderate this event, to talk to these two amazing women the way that we used to on our Women with a Vision's front porch and Deon's kitchen table. Our front porches, our kitchen tables, our gardens, the places that Black Southern women have always held space and told our stories, and planned our futures. And envisioned our futures. And so that's really what tonight is about. It's about this amazing work of this amazing, amazing organization, one that changed my life, I think changed the life of so many people in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and across the country, I think. And so that's really what we're talking about tonight, about this toolkit. I know, I thought earlier I'm gonna cry so much tonight, but where do we start? And because it's a story, I love origins. So let's start at the beginning. Talk about Women with a Vision. Talk about the origins. Talk about the foremothers. Tell us how it was birthed.
Hey, y'all. So before I get started, I cannot start without saying thank you. Thank you for every one of you who I consider you like my sisters, my comrade, my revolutionary thought partners, the in the middle of the night, the all day, for taking my call when I feel stuck, and hope I've helped you when you feel stuck. So thank you. Thank you to my kids, and Women with a Vision staff that's in the house, just like my family. So in the late 80s, Danita Muse had a thought that the idea that HIV was becoming what it was, and definitely with a heavy focus on white gay men, and they were like sex, drugs, poverty, no access to care. We need to be educated and talking to our community. And so, hey, Monica. And so she had this idea and she wasn't sure what she was going to do with it. And she met and just started talking to other women who were social workers in the community who were seeing the impact of HIV in our communities. And they all shared what many of us know, that if you give and educate Black women, you have changed your entire community, because all we need is a little bit, a little spark, a little something, and we just run with it and we go and it grows. Everybody gonna know. And so that was the vision. And then her and my mother, there were 8 foremothers, and many of them fell off over the years for many different reasons. And as it stands right now, the only 2 that are left are Danita Muse and Catherine Haywood, who many of you know is my mother. And they were, I still am in awe of the work that they did, because it was the 2 of them. And they were just hitting. New Orleans at the time had 10 housing developments. They didn't have an office. They designed their materials themselves, like handwritten notes that we will talk about later, because a lot of it was lost in the arson attack that we had, but handwritten notes about HIV, handwritten notes, and they just created all this really amazing public health framework and analysis to women who were social workers, right? And then they just decided, well, we're going to do this. We don't care what it's going to take to do it. And they just started organizing with people. At the time, I was like 19 years old. 18, 19 years old. And my first job, some people may know, was with Emma Broman at the time, CEO and president of National Council of Negro Women in New Orleans, of Greater New Orleans. And I like telling people, because I want people to remember why she gave me that job. And I didn't understand it at 18, because they were like, Ms. Broman would like to speak with you. And I was like, why? For what? And she said, you want a job? And I said, I don't know how to do anything you're doing here. She said, but yes, you do, because I see it. She said, Deon Haywood, I see you. And so remember, when you see young people organizing, that we need to see them. And she saw me, and I sit here today. And so I'm forever thankful for that moment. But for Women with a Vision, it was an idea, a spark. And here we are. This year is also our 35th year. In our beginning, we did kind of like HIV prevention, women's health, and we actually, I'm owning brought harm reduction to Louisiana, because a large group of the people we work with were injection drug users and sexual partners of injection drug users. And so that went on for about 15 years. Fast forward to Hurricane Katrina, which everyone knows historically just kind of marked something for all of us. You cannot be human and not feel what that moment was and what that moment has become across the country. It was the epicenter of what can go wrong when the people aren't prepared and our governments don't care, right? And so we realized that policy was going to have to be a part of it, but also in the same way we had always organized, it could only be by the people who were most affected. I want to stop there, but yeah, that's how we started, and that's the tenets that we always and will hopefully, when I'm gone from Women with a Vision and there's new leadership, that they are still keeping the culture of what it means to center the people. So.
Thank you so much. And we'll get into more of the story, through the night as we kind of talk about where we've gone, where we've been. But let's talk a little bit about what this book is, why we're here tonight. I think this is a very, very unique book and very unique approach. And I think in the book you call this social movement ethnography, but also ethnography of Black feminist thoughts, right? So let's unpack that a little bit as well. But also I want to hear about how this came to be in the collaboration process, right? In that co-authorship process, and why you did it that way.
Okay. I've already almost been crying multiple times, but I want to echo what Deon said. It is like we could feel the energy as we were pulling up. It is a beautiful thing to be in the room with Southern people's power. And we knew that this is where we needed to begin the work that we were doing. Thank you so much for coming out. And thank you so much for the beauty that you make in the world every day. It's an honor to get to meet so many of you who have been comrades in struggle, heroes, just all across the board who get to share this space tonight. So thank you. And movement is what brought Deon and myself together. We first met in 2008 in April, and there was a group of people who were coming together, about 20 of us in this small retreat center in upstate New York, bringing together people who have been in the trenches for HIV organizing, people who had been in the trenches for prison abolitionist work, and trying to work across those movements, knowing that that mass incarceration was a structural driver of the domestic AIDS epidemic. And the most important thing that we could do to challenge, especially the impact of HIV in Black communities, was to decarcerate our world.
Yep.
And Deon and I were both brought by other movement people, you,
Kenny
by Shana,
and
and
Shana Griffin.
For myself, by Wahida Shabazz El, who's my dear, dear sister from Philly. And we kept getting put in small groups together, and at some point realized that we both can talk, but we're kind of prickly people sometimes, but we really liked each other a lot. And that's where it all began. And the first year of our friendship, Deon and I would sit on the phone, and mostly it was you would talk, I would type and take notes. And what you were doing was apprenticing me to the story that Deon just brought us into the room, into what it meant to be understanding, to working in the legacy of Anita Muse and Catherine Haywood and all of our Women with a Vision foremothers, and to carry forward that work and to build on a piece of what Desiree said, to know not only that it matters to tell what really happened, but like to also talk about, or to not only know what really happened, but to talk about why it matters for us to tell the stories of what really happened and to share those with one another. The first time I came to New Orleans, I was invited by Deon. She asked me to come to facilitate a coalition meeting for exactly where she left off her story. At that point, our Women with a Vision foremothers, and Deon included, had returned after Hurricane Katrina, and we're starting to see that there were people, longtime folks that they had been community and the only safe place for, that were showing up at their offices with photo IDs that read sex offender. And that began a grassroots organizing campaign, one, to understand what was happening, and two, to figure out how to do something about it. And then I'm going to fast forward a bunch because I'm sure that there are a lot of pieces that Deon's going to want to come back to that story. But the relationship that we had continued through that. Whatever sort of we build a whole living archive of the No Justice Project, which was named after some of the words of people who were part of that campaign, who were the people leading that campaign, who have been charged with a crime against nature. And it was the same, continuing to be in community and moving forward. And the night of this book is named after an arson attack that happened literally 2 months after Women with a Vision and an incredible national legal team succeeded in overturning the crime against nature statute at the felony level, removing 800 people from the sex offender registry. 2 months later, the very violence that Women with a Vision have been organizing was turned intimately against the organization. And I was in New Orleans because what we were starting to do was like, no one wins like this. No one does this. So we were starting an oral history project of the win. to figure out how we could share out what that Women with a Vision had managed by using an unapologetic Black feminist analysis to do something that no other group in the country thought was possible. And that story needed to be told, that we have to share those organizing wins. And so in the immediate aftermath of the arson attack, it was all hands on deck. And to that question you asked, we were never trying to write a book.
No.
What we were trying to do was rebuild an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And every part, I mean, our relationship began like almost to the day, the year after the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through these steady processes of doing the work, of archiving everything we could, of recording the stories that had been lost, and then of figuring out how to document not only the content, but also the process through which. That is the beauty that birthed this book, and knowing that it needed to not only exist for us, but it needed to be something we shared.
I love hearing you tell a story. So what made us decide to fight was after Hurricane Katrina, what many people may not know is the feds gave the state of Louisiana like about $3-point-something million to gather up violent offenders.
Yeah.
And we know that that is never what we're gathering. It's never. It was Black trans women, poor women, you name it, but people who really needed our care, especially after what people had experienced in terms of being left behind or not being able to leave during Hurricane Katrina. One of the bonds that Desiree and I hold is being women from a place where storms don't care. And they own the place like they do anywhere. And so we have I knew it, but I didn't realize it at the time. But our connections were not only national, but they were global, right? So there were so many people like sending messages around, what do y'all need? How will y'all, like, what can we set up? What can we send you? Like, the mutual aid was off the chain across the board. And we had always had a history since the day we started that sex workers were our people. And if you know anything about New Orleans, sex workers are our people. Sex workers are people anywhere in the world. The same thing we're seeing in South Africa in the way they're organized, and the way we've seen in different parts of India, where these women have full-on unions and they're doing it, is what we wanted for sex workers here in the US. And so this is how not only the universe, but I feel like some of us, like I always say, like some of us are called. And some of us have to answer. And so it was like 4-something in the morning. Shaquita and I had bought a cane Carso. We drove to Atlanta to get him. We liked big dogs, and we bought him home. His name was Gemini. Gemini came home, and he reached me at about my waist. And so somebody is banging down the door. When I say banging down the door, y'all, the only kind of banging we know happens at that time of morning. It's not because one of your kids lost their key, right? And so I go to the door, the dog and I. We go to the door, and I open, and it's SWAT, ICE, DEA. And I'm like, wait, what did I do? That was my first thought, because those of you who know me, I have a past. Not a past like what they call crime. I'm just a revolutionary Black woman. And so I was like, what you want? And why are you knocking on my door? I'm trying to find a violent criminal. This is the address they have listed. I said, child, no violent criminals live here. You have the wrong house. Open up the door. I said, no, I'm not going to open my door. I'm not going to open my door. And I'll open my door if you step back to the steps, which will give me a chance to slam my door on you. Right? So they're all out there, guns drawn. And the beauty of this story is, as horrible as it is, you cannot make this up. And I say, who are you looking for? What's the name? Because they don't live here. I purchased this house. No one has lived here since I purchased it. And I was like, what is the name? And he called a woman's name. And I was like, he was like, so you don't know her. And I said, no, I don't know her, but y'all know what it was? That card you get in your mail that says a sex offender is in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked at the picture, the anger that I felt like the anger we've seen or felt in reading or understanding our history with this type of confrontation. That you wasted my tax dollars and other people's tax dollars looking for somebody who's a sex offender. A sex worker. I said, what did she do? She's a known prostitute, ma'am. And so I laughed, laughed. And I was like, and you took all y'all to come here for this little woman. I say, if you find her, tell her come see me. And I'm gonna help her. If you find her, tell her come to Women with a Vision, and this is where we're located. And I was so angry, and I knew at that moment that I had no other choice but to fight.
Yes.
And that fight, y'all, was really weird because you're walking around trying to explain to people something that people just can't understand the concept that, wait, they doing what? And throughout the book, you'll see pictures. If you were to Google it, you'll see pictures. And just to give those of you who love a few numbers, we worked with our comrade and harsh fighter, Andrea Ritchie. And Andrea got her students to do the numbers. More than, I want to say it was like 85% of the people on the sex offender registry were Black. 79% of them were Black women. And that law, y'all, was not designed for what they were using it for, but again, a tool of oppression for gay men in the French Quarter. And somebody on the police association said, wait, we can use this law. If you ever wonder why they won't take a law off the book, even when you change it, right? It's because they'll use it again and they want to bring it back like many of us are seeing throughout the South now, right? And so quickly, I'll just say, so Desiree can move on. I will say that we just knew that this was bullshit. I can say bullshit on this thing. Okay.
You just
I done said it right.
You said it twice.
But more that who, if not Women with a Vision, and who, if not us, were going to stand up in the gap and in front of for these women. And the law had been challenged over like 200 times over since the 1800s, but it was always about men, gay men, white men. No one had ever said as a strategy, why don't we use Black women? And why don't we organize by saying all the things y'all say Black women aren't, what y'all are actually blocking. Y'all are stopping us from being parents. If you are charged with this, you know the federal guidelines. You cannot bring your kid to school. You can't be this close to school. You can't bring your kid to trick or treat. And so who was going to stand in the gap? But women who understood. And so we did.
And you led through allowing space for Black women and Black trans women to tell their stories.
Yes.
To talk about how that law impacted their lives, destroyed their lives.
Destroyed,
right?
yes.
Another policy post-hurricane to what? Erase?
Yeah.
And to incarcerate and to remove, which is the entire policy of the colonial state that we're seeing here in Atlanta, we're seeing here in New Orleans, across the world, to remove us, to take the land. And so thank you. I mean, No Justice is an amazing campaign. It's learn about it, read about it. And that kind of brings you to this idea of a toolkit. You call this book a toolkit, right? So thinking about through the campaign work, thinking about how you kind of brought in that idea of tools and that analysis. Talk a little bit about that. Expand on that a little bit for me.
So I think some of this, we had there were some very clear intentions of wanting to publish this book with an academic press. And a part of that is because of the long history of Women with a Vision and the dispossession of Women with a Vision's knowledge. Part of why Deon started us off talking about Women with a Vision pioneered harm reduction in the South. Women with a Vision pioneered HIV responses alongside sex workers and alongside drug users is because our foremothers did, and because a bunch of white public health researchers stole that work out from under us. So being able to tell what really happened in an academic context was something that was really important to us. But we're organizers at the end of the day. So we weren't going to do it in an academic way. We were going to do this in a way that actually recognized that we tell our stories in order to move. In order to move, to move ourselves, to help things. I mean, you talked about this, Des, as you were opening us up. Like, all of our imaginations have been colonized. We tell stories in order to begin to dream what is possible, to imagine the next step in front of us. We share those stories so that the bits and glimmers that each of us are holding, that we can bring those together to grow something more possible. And we also honor the analysis of what we do. Ashley, I feel like you were the person who I just had retweeted. Did you had the quote that went up about the best analogy around strategy and tactics? So I'm forgetting the name of the person that shared it.
I don't know. I literally don't know. But if you Google metaphors for strategy,
so climbing a staircase is the strategy. Where the staircase is going towards is the strategy. The steps are the tactics. So toolkit for us is part of getting into that, into the place of strategy, and then thinking about tactics, being able to drill into the analysis. Deon already shared this, that the women with the Vision's analysis move things that no one else knew how to move. So that meant that the Women with the Vision analysis is pretty awesome.
It is.
So you get one of the first tools in the first pages of the book. And this is a piece of what Des was already foreshadowing and some of the comments she was offering as a bridge. The night of the fire, and then in the sort of next day after the fire, I mean, the night of the fire, Deon was taken into a still smoldering house by herself and away from us.
Intentionally.
And then when the only moment of a police officer seeming like there was going to be anyone caring, actually what that officer did was to say, oh, we heard a report, so we think that it must be somebody. We heard a report of a white man, so we're trying to figure out which one of the people you work with is sleeping with a white man, or if that's somebody. And in that moment, what we saw is a playbook that gets run over and over and over again. That Women with a Vision was the home for people impacted by the Crime Against Nature statute, because those people have been isolated from services and necessary supports, and Women with a Vision was the safety net. And literally, as the violence was being turned against Women with a Vision was being blamed. And being criminalized alongside all of the people that we stand with. Communities destabilized. And the point of that is to erase people and take their lives. And we systematize that analysis in the very first pages of the book and call it the racial capitalism playbook. And part of why we offer that up is that when you look at those 6 steps, isolate, blame, criminalize, destabilize, erase, take, you can see that moving throughout centuries of violent placemaking systems. You can drop it into a time when you're like, where are we, in the words of Grace Lee Boggs, what time is it on the clock of the world? Like, where are we in this process? So that's one of the pieces that we offer up. It is our sort of guiding post compass. Another that we offer are some of the tools that we've used to counter that. So one of the first is accompliceship. This is something we learned from Indigenous Action Media. And accompliceship is, for me as a white woman working alongside Deon, working in service of Black liberation, following Black leadership and Black women's leadership. Accompliceship is also something that we saw in the very stance that our foremothers took as people who themselves weren't drug users or sex workers, but worked as accomplices to support liberation and vision. That's one of the first that we lift up. Refusal is a next. And this is one that runs throughout Women with a Vision's history. There is no trying to play nice with the system.
No.
And that has never been the way that Vision is run. I'm sure that Deon will share many stories as we keep rolling here about what that has looked like in practice. but recognize, I mean, this was the fundamental piece of the No Justice Project.
Yes.
It was like, we're not going to say, please, please, don't treat us this way. Folks defiantly told their stories, insisted on how they were rendering their own selves visible, refused to play by the system's rules, and that was what made the difference. The next is otherwise. And otherwise is it's a word that like holds for us both just the steadfast hope and understanding that the world can be otherwise, but it's also something that enables us to tap into the fact that the otherwise is with us always. The otherwise is the history that is in this room with us right now. That we refuse to be separated from the ancestral visions and freedom dreams of Southern people that came before us, and we also refuse to be separated from the ones that were on the horizon of birthing. And the last is speech. To speak into existence, to recognize the creative power of speech, and also to recognize that there are certain words we will not say. Because words have significance, words have meaning, and we will not fix our faces to power.
Beautiful. Thinking about words, I forget that there's one part of the book I was looking for it, where you say no to the term resilience. But you say, well, what do we use instead of resilience? Do you remember this part of the book?
Because I hate the word.
We don't like the
As a
word
Black
resilience.
woman, as a Black lesbian, as a Black mother, as a human being, stop asking me that. Stop wanting it from me, because I don't have it to offer anymore. Because resilience requires something that I do not possess. See, what I do possess is the spirit of my ancestors. What I do possess is a survival instinct that is unmatched. I don't have no resilience. That should never be a Black person's word, because in slavery, that's what they expected you to be. And the pushback is that we can't be anymore. That is the pushback.
And we shouldn't have to be.
And you shouldn't have to be, because it actually takes away from you being in the moment with your feelings around the shit that is happening to us, right? And so Laura laughs at this, because at first when we talked about we were going to do a book, this girl, like, I could say, ooh, Quadrant, I love your shirt. Laura gonna be like, you told Quadrant she like a shirt. You know, like, in a way though, because I don't, for those of you who know me, you know, I don't write nothing down like talking about it. That everything I say, wherever I say it, it comes from here. It don't even come here. And the reason I know that this is deeper than me is that people will say, Miss Haywood, can I use the quote? And I was like, Miss Deon, what you said up there, and I will have to turn, and I've done it with Desiree. When Desiree worked that Women with a Vision, I'd be like, Desiree, and so there's a trust that has to take place in this work. And we don't always get it right. But we have to work really hard to try.
That's right.
And the woman I honor so much in my life, who has been a friend and a mentor, Loretta Roche, keep trying to tell us we don't have the space to throw people away.
That's right. That's right.
Because if we think we can throw each other away, then I'm going to go ahead and say that you shouldn't be in this work. And I'm going to tell you why. The people that we work with in Women with a Vision, when we talk about resistance, I watch my mother and Danita go into rooms for the City of New Orleans Health Department, the State of Louisiana Public Health, and they would, you know how they do, oh, and why are you here? And everybody, oh, I care, whatever. And Danita, Black women, Black people. I'm here for Black people. Yep. Danita, you here for Black people? Yep, that's why I'm here. Like, they went in with a strategy. They knew they were going to act out, which is why 9 times out of 10, somebody have to sit next to me to tell me to behave. I'm just learning how to calm down in meetings. I know some of you don't believe that, but I know. But the beauty of what I learned from them as a young organizer, y'all, is don't stop. We can't stop. We ain't stopping at all. And people really, as a strategy, were like, you can come back, me. Danita and Catherine, they're not invited to the meeting. And I was like, it don't work like that. And y'all asking for me, I'm actually worse probably than them because they show you what they got up front. I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna give it to you, right? But it was watching them. It was also watching when Laura mentioned about our work being stolen. They have so many people who got tenure.
Oh yes.
Just by saying our name in something. So many people, they got like there was a group in New Orleans. And I know they got about, I want to say like a research part, like $6 million. And I was like, wow, ooh, we only dreaming. And they offered women with a vision $10,000. And the $10,000, y'all, was the bulk of the work because we the people, we are the people. We are with the people. We worked in all the housing developments. We actually used the strategy of gatekeepers. So Miss Ann, who lived on a corner in the Magnolia Housing Project, gonna tell me everybody I need to hit up that day. The drug dealers in the neighborhood was gonna say, Dread, y'all don't work today. Got it. We out. So our community loved us enough to say, don't come here today. Even if you believe that they don't care, they do care. And they run a business like we run a business, right? And since that is the structure of the U.S., it is what it is. You make it black market, we're going to find a way to use it. That's another story though. But it was to say, I watched them have people come in. We had no money. My mom worked for Tulane School of Public Health, and Danita was a substance abuse counselor for the state of Louisiana. And they would always talk about their good jobs. Women with a Vision was my only job. I was the only, at the time, full-time employee. And so they would be like, well, we're not going to take no check this month, so you can get a check. Okay. And so we worked well and making sure that everybody had. But also I watched them work with Tulane University, and them give us I want to say at the time, I think it was about $400,000. We opened up a drop-in center. We had a full kitchen, and we fed our people and educated and sat with our people. But their students that they wouldn't agree to their end of the bargain, which was, we want you to hire drug users. We want you to hire people from the community to interview people from the community for this research project. And they said, well, we really want our students because we just think they have the skill. And I was like, they absolutely do not have the skill. And so this went on. We was like, okay, we'll try it your way, knowing it wasn't going to work. If it doesn't work, then we go with our people. So we were willing to show them because we like to prove shit to people. And the students were afraid to come at night. They just couldn't be across the street from the Magnolia Housing Project at night. And y'all want you to know, night was 5:00. Where Women with a Vision, we did outreach at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and we actually get up and go out in the mobile unit at 5, so we can get all the men who worked offshore, make sure they had all their syringes in their work, so while they were at work, they could function safely. And then they would come back and we would just repeat the process. They wanted to come at 9. To this day, Women with a Vision does not open at 9:00. Because who coming at 9:00? We don't have nobody coming. When I have staff people say, so I take my kid to school and I would like to be there. Hey, baby, here's your key. You go to work at 8:30, 9:00. The rest of us gonna get there when we get there. And we still operate like that. And I feel like it's important. This work is hard. And people we work with ain't up at 9:00. Okay. So they decided that the students were afraid. They felt like, the white girl cry is real. We have Karen now, but I always knew it is just the white girl cry. And Captain Danita, the doctor who was over the research, came to the drop-in center. He said, y'all ain't listening. And Danita walked over. She looked at Catherine, because we are so good, y'all, at talking to each other without words. That is a revolutionary tool. that you should have. I should be able to look at you and be like, what? Okay. And guess what? Many of y'all I've done that with. We've done that in rooms.
All the time.
But it was, Danita turned and looked like at Catherine and she said, lady. And my mama said, do it. And I'm like, what are we about to do? Because this was them. Because know that I'm the kid in this, right? Powerful, yes. And they let me stand in that, but also they had their own thing. Because this wasn't a deal I brokered. This was their deal.
Yeah.
Danita went in a drawer. She pulled out Women with a Vengeance checkbook. And she wrote a check back for like $350,000. And she was like, take your fucking check. And get out of our office. Oh, it's yours, because I'm sure we won't be able to keep it in agreement. And we did not. And he was like, well, how are you going to do your work? Because y'all know that is their tactic, is to make you feel like you need them to do what we do. And they turned and looked. They was like, baby, we ain't had no office when we started this. We don't need yours. Because they would just sit on people's porch and do the work. And that's why the front porch is a revolutionary place in our minds and in our history. So it is why I lead the way I do now. I'm not gonna never compromise me. If we get down to no funding, I'm gonna cry. Probably I'm gonna call y'all and I'm gonna cry. But we're not gonna buckle, and we're not gonna stop, because these are their tools. It's not our reality. Which is again why we don't like the word resilience, because that's not what we're showing people. It's much deeper than that.
Y'all,
I know,
like, we're here in Atlanta, which is hi Atlanta, epicenter of social movement, social struggle, forefront of some amazing historic work, but also present work. So we want to bring you into the space. We have some amazing movement leadership in the room right now. Thank you for coming and sharing space with us tonight. I think of like Atlanta and New Orleans as sister cities, not just rivals, football rivals.
No,
we are sister cities. We are Black cities that have, brought so much Black culture, but also Black movement history. Right? Who have been who are on the forefront of being gentrified, displaced, erased. Who've had Black leadership not do right by us. Right? Who have these policies that are put in place to target us, to put a target on our backs. Even as the city profits from our culture, our people, right? Like, I saw a video of the Black woman outside City Hall earlier talking about holding the mayor accountable for Cop City, right? Like the intersections of that work, right? Criminalization, colonialism, militarism, reproductive justice is here. It's present in all the work that we do, right? So I want to bring y'all into this space. I want to bring questions from y'all into this space, but I also want to talk about ways that we can learn from each other, talk about the way that our movements speak to each other, the way that we have worked together. So I know that I've met so many of you through my work with Women with a Vision as well, coming to Atlanta, coming to places throughout the nation where we've come together to do this work. But I just want to open that up right now to questions from y'all. Don't worry, we'll still talk more about the book and about, in the answer to some of those questions. But I want to bring you into the space. I want to say thank you for coming, and let us hear your stories. Let us hear your questions.
What y'all thinking? Can I say one thing?
The video folks as well.
Yeah, I want to say this one thing is I came to Atlanta for Black Pride, which was my Lord, my thing to do. And I remember visiting Harris, the bookstore, when it was in Little 5 Points.
Yeah.
Because everybody had said, "That's where you have to go." And I picked up a newsletter, and the newsletter says Sister Song. And I read it. I brought it home. I brought it back to Women with a Vision office. I said, "Oh, I gotta go ahead and subscribe to this and enjoy this." But it was when I read the definition of reproductive justice.
Yes.
That Women with a Vision have been holding. We're harm reductionists. We are organizers. We are outreach workers. We just had so many names for everything. And it was when I picked up that newsletter.
Yes.
I said, "Oh, we've been doing reproductive justice all this time."
Yes.
And it is, and I'm saying this to say that one of the ways I feel like there's a wedge in this work is everybody's trying to call it something different. And y'all know I'm gonna call a spade, is that they're like nobody believed in reproductive justice but us and those who understood.
Yep.
Now everybody wanna do reproductive justice. And you don't even know what it means.
That's right.
You ain't ready. You trying to co-op shit you still don't understand.
Come on, Deon.
2 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking at the Fannie Lou Hamer doc at Patois, the film festival, the Independent Film Festival in New Orleans. And Shayna Griffin, and those of you who know Shayna, moderated, and it was her and I and this other sister named Tueri. I want to say her name right, Tueri. That was bad. Because we were sitting up there really planning our own activity. We're like the daughters of Fannie Lou Hamer. We are, and all of us are the daughters of Fannie Lou Hamer. And then the next day it was a film, and Billy was in the film, Billy Avery. Loretta was in the film. And they was saying the same shit we say right now. Same thing they laid out for us. The same path, and they were talking about it. And I became so frustrated, emotionally frustrated. I was like, why are we saying the same thing and still asking white women for the same thing? And this is why we don't ask them for nothing. I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired. I'm not asking nobody for nothing. I have said to people in Louisiana, I can't work with certain people because people ain't working with me. And they really not working with mine. You wouldn't own. I just asked you before this ban. I asked you, what's your thoughts about reproductive? You were like, I could do it. We could do, everybody can do reproductive justice. But are you living a reproductive justice way of life? Are you engaging in it every day just by waking up? What you say, Benita? That part. See, because if you anti-Black, anti-queer, anti-woman, and you see me and your thought about me is fear, which you should, maybe some people, because some people don't see fear in me when they see me. That's not what they see. So if you see that I have decided to let them have it, you can hold it. I'm never going to spend time convincing you otherwise, because you need to hold that for yourself. Sit with it. My grandmother used to say, go sit with yourself. And what yourself come up with is what yourself need to roll with. And for my little Creole grandmother, we gonna roll with it. And so when I saw Billy and Loretta in this documentary, and I didn't even catch the name, so I can't tell what it was. I will share later. But it was that moment when I realized, oh, they still ain't a part of this fight, because they're not. And so when I think about the book, and I think about like the direction and the fact that it has been a hard fought 35 years, but we are here. And I hope we're not planning on going anywhere, but it is this book has kind of renewed my faith in where we're going. Because the powers that be are the powers that want to be will try to make us think that we keep hitting the wall. But actually, I give it another 15 to 20 years before you see really where we are. And I also want to encourage y'all to lean into it.
Yes.
Don't fall into the fear. Lean into the power of this is what we've been working for. The 30 years of RJ. For many of our organizations, this is the moment, y'all. This is the moment of dis-ease, of being uncomfortable. And y'all realize, I hope y'all know we aren't the ones that's uncomfortable.
That's exactly
like we have not stopped. We are still trying to come up with strategies, leaning on. I've been saying for years, those of you who know me, y'all keep pushing the civil rights movement away, but that's because you don't understand. If you feel like those strategies are outdated, and they may be to some, but really, if you're not on the ground in the way that they were on the ground, if you think outreach is just on social media, if you are not organizing and talking to your people, then I'm gonna ask you to just step aside, because these grids aren't stable. Your phone ain't stable. And hopefully by next week, Women with a Vision will be putting out when the shit hit the fan guide, because shit gonna hit the fan. And we just got to be prepared and just lean into the fact that this is the moment we've been waiting for, y'all. We say we're fighting, and the revolution, what it's gonna look like. This is what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
It's gonna seem like we are losing. But the sheer fact that they are trying to take away everything, I'm going to sue you because you want to help Black women. I'm going to sue you because you want to get a job everywhere. Y'all keep coming. Y'all keep multiplying. And so I am encouraging you to keep the pressure going.
Yes.
And just lean into what we have all been fighting for.
Yes.
If you get a little, and it's okay to be afraid. Yeah. But if you feel that way, you better lean on the people in this room, outside the room, the people at home, it's kind of like, I just don't want people to give up in this moment, because it's going to get worse.
That's right.
They're scrambling,
They are.
I'm thinking of the Georgia legislative session right now, right? Trying to think of every single thing to criminalize, protest, to criminalize, it's like they're panicking. They are in crisis right now. The white supremacist nation state is in crisis.
It ain't nothing like watching old white men.
Oh my gosh.
Lose it. Like, we keep trying to kill y'all. And y'all still standing here.
They're like,
and y'all keep creating more y'all. And that's what it is. And so I know we got to get to the questions, but I was really glad. I've just been trying to leave that in rooms. Is that lean into what Fannie put down for us. Lean into what Billy and Loretta has laid out for us. Lean into with each one of us, because I realized at a retreat in our voices last week, we were all sitting at the table, and I turned to Deon, and we were all looking at, we was like, shit, we are talking about honoring our foremothers, but y'all, we the next wave. Like, I know we is present tense, but it's like everybody always said, and that's also a white supremacist framework, to feel like somebody got to sit down so you can stand up. Because that's not what's happening for us. Because I ain't ready to sit down. I think I'll be 56 y'all in another week, and I'm all right with it. And so I just encourage us not to be stuck on the bullshit, to continue standing on business, and just give it what you got. That's all we can do. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. But let me tell you something, Atlanta. New Orleans had a whole consent decree. Do you know how hard it is to get a consent decree against a police force? But we got it. It's still in place, even though politicians are like, we can't keep y'all safe because we got a consent decree. Isn't that ironic? We keep ourselves safe.
That's right.
They have never saved us.
Exactly.
And ain't gonna do it. No, not gonna do it.
They just made us the incarceration capital of the world.
That's all.
That was their
They're trying to bring it back.
Trying to bring it back.
That is.
That was their safety.
Yeah.
Want to open it up?
It may be that people just want to hang out. They don't want to follow that word.
You only got no questions. I was trying to prepare myself for Atlanta with questions. It's like I gotta get ready because Atlanta don't play. Because I wanna make y'all laugh that when Mary Hooks did that interview, and that reporter said, how do you feel about them destroying equipment? And Mary said, what? And only the way Mary Hooks could do it, I don't feel nothing about it. I'm good. I was screaming And I was asking her, y'all saw Mary? Y'all saw Mary? Mary said, you know how many times I can't take that charge.
Mhm.
And I'm surely, I look cute, y'all, but I got issues. I can't be locked up in the prison. I'm moving into my soft life area. That's where I'm going. Because my life ain't been soft. And so I'm coasting to a soft life, but being pretty badass at it. But all that to say that Mary said, I can't take that risk. But you know how many, me and my comrades sit and hold a lighter in our hand?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I know people say, well, I don't want to say that in Rome. I used to be a member of the All People's African Revolutionary Party. And Pan-African.
Black Nation
And so that's why I tell people, girl, don't look at me and think you know what you think you know, because you don't know. But it is more important to understand that when you sit in a room with people who people only hear about on the news, and they don't know the truth. Right at Clock Atlanta. So I have a long history with organizing in Atlanta. And it has always felt home for personal and professional reasons. But it is simply this. Mary was absolutely right. If you feel like you are not ready to fight, and the fight is long and multi-pronged.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The strategy has a place for every single person.
Yes, it does.
For everybody. There are those of us who will pick up the lighter and hit it. And there are those of us who will enter rooms and talk so sweetly to you. Honey on the lips. And that is a part of the strategy. And there are those of us who are going to write the things. And there are those of us who will enter spaces to disrupt spaces in ways that are not in an open protest on the street. And so there is space for us. There is space for amazing collaborations. And there is space for wins. And I've learned that the wins don't have to look like what it looks like to anybody else. See, when we won, I remember asking all our lawyers, they were like, we didn't even realize we won. It took us a minute at the state capitol in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we were like, I asked Bill Quigley. Many of you may know Bill Quigley. He's an amazing, amazing civil rights, human rights lawyer. Andrea, Richie, we all standing there. And I was like, whoa, what happens now? And they said, we don't know, we never win. And when they said that, like, that's always stuck with me, because who's measuring?
That's right.
See, a win to us at Women with a Vision is the fact on our harm reduction days when Michelle roll up in that Women with a Vision van and set up when our clients could come up and say, I need 3 27s, I need 2 29s. These are syringe sizes, by the way, people, for those of you who don't know. They was like, and I need about, and they'll start calling it, each of us gonna need about 2 vein care kits apiece. You got it? Yeah, we know how to use. Y'all showed us how to use that a while back. I don't care if they use. If you didn't know, everybody uses something. And if you don't, you should. You should use something. Because to be in this country and exist, to breathe, to walk, to eat, the food that we eat is addictive because it's not healthy. It's not real.
I'm loud enough.
I'm gonna turn it down. You know,
It's for the virtual people.
Online.
So, hi, Lisa Diane.
Lisa Diane.
So, Trisha Hersey, Rest is Resistance. You all have been doing this work for over 35 years now. What lessons can you share with the younger people starting out in this work or in the middle of their career in this work in terms of taking care of themselves to continue the fight?
Yes. That's real.
I think we all get the answers.
Yeah. So for those of you who know me, know that I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016, and then it was right back in full force. I knew in 2018, but the diagnosis in 2019. I didn't know that. I don't think I was caring for myself before that.
Yeah.
Before that moment is that I was a big girl and I liked it. I liked it. I liked being thick, and I liked all the women that I felt like I admired walked in big body into the room, and they owned it in a way that only a Black woman could, full bodied, and I wanted to possess that. And that's like the flip side. But the other side was I was so unhealthy, high blood pressure.
Yes.
I still have high blood pressure. I'm a diabetic. But cancer, I was trying to stay in the thick of things and still be present when today I always had chemo on Tuesday, but Tuesday is good. But from Wednesday on, you really don't. For me, I got to a point where I don't know what day it was. And it would be times I was like, well, Wednesday. My mom said, baby, it's Thursday the next week. And I was like, it's Thursday the next week? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. It was those moments when you are faced, and I never felt like I wasn't going to be here, but I knew the fight would be difficult each time my cancer was aggressive. And I was lucky enough, blessed enough, that my breast surgeon asked me, he said, every time you come here, I'm just trying to figure out what you do. So I Googled you. And I was like, you Google me? He said, see, I saw you. He said, the bullhorn thing, that in the street screaming, no. And the first time, even like those of you who know Brooke Kelly Green, who used to be with the Ford Foundation, she was like, what you mean you coming back to work already? I was like, yeah, we got things to do. And I did. And then it was right back. And the second time, I tried to prepare with all the things I thought I knew from the first time, and there was no preparing. And actually, the second time was worse than it was the first time because I didn't have time to recover from the really intense treatments that I had before. It was only the second time that I realized that I should slow down.
Yes.
And that white supremacy is not going anywhere.
Exactly.
And that the work is not a normal job, y'all.
Yes.
This thing we do is a belief system. It is a way of life. And so it was those moments that I realized that it's okay if I don't go to work today.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
When staff asks, and they will tell you if they call me and say, I'm not good today. Can I work from home? Okay.
Yep.
Do it. But it is the reminders that we are worthy.
Yes.
Of loving ourselves as much as we love this work and this movement. That we can't offer this movement anything if we don't possess anything for ourselves. And I eat better today. I think about my weight and what I'm carrying because also what is heavy is this world.
Yes.
And I realized that some of the best days were the days I was sick, y'all. That may sound weird, but it was because I was still. And I sit in bed and I sit on my porch and I would just take selfies of myself, bawling all in my pajamas, just laying on my porch in the sun. And it was those moments that I realized that self-care was what is necessary and not in the, I'm going to get a pedicure, I'm going to get my nails done. Not in that way that you are centering your health. You're centering your spirit and your soul, that the preparation that you are doing is to be in the fight.
Yes.
And so I've learned that if I don't feel like going to work today, I'm not going. If I can't answer emails today, I'm not answering. And it'll be there and it's going to be okay. So the reminder to young people is actually, yet again, Loretta said to me one day, why are you running like I'm running? Now, I want y'all to know that didn't make no sense to me. I was like, I am not Loretta Ross. I can't possibly be running like she run. But yeah, I was running like she run. And I'm so happy that she called me on it. She was like, look, take care of yourself. And so when you see your comrades going down, remind them to go lay down.
Yes.
Have you seen a doctor?
Mhm.
Have you checked yourself?
Mhm.
Have you just went talked to someone? You don't want to see the doctor? What herbalist do you know?
Exactly.
Who can you go talk to just to take a minute and take as many breaks as you can?
Mhm.
I remember feeling guilty for
Yeah.
going on vacation,
Exactly.
trying to decide what I was going to post a picture of Shaquita and I or not.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't, me people, I'm gonna do me, and doing me means rest.
Mhm.
That means not answering it. Like you can chase and chase and chase, but we know funding is ebbs and flow. I like you today because everybody else likes you. I realize I don't like you today, so I'm not gonna give you anything.
All the
Oh, I
time.
cut you off today because I like her better, and I don't want to give you and put us in the fight against each other
Mhm.
when really we should be fighting them. And so I just encourage young people, one, if you came into this world of movement land, I call it. If you enter movement land and you are here to be branded, you are here to be famous, you are not a part of this movement. I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to always tell you the truth. And the truth is, the people I know who do this work, again, you eat, breathe, sleep freedom. You eat, breathe, sleep liberation. It is in your soul. You feel it in your fingertips.
Mhm.
You feel it when you get up and your bones hurt because you still want to push forward. Like
Mhm.
if you want to be here for the long haul, like people say, I'm leaving. Well, you're never here because you cannot leave this because some of us are called. Just like I said earlier, some of us are called. So being called means sleep. Being called means
Yes.
that I have to separate for a minute. It means I can't do anything for about 3 days. And I'll say this quickly. My wife, who is the director of research and evaluation, who I met her, and this was not her world, but she's an Aquarius, and we know Aquarius people are deep and they care about the world. Really, they do. They don't want it sometimes, but it is. And now she's been here for all of the 20 years we've been together, in the 20 years she's been in Women with a Vision. And she just said, I'm starting to feel it.
Mhm.
I need a minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, where you want to go? Because we going to go. How many days you need?
Exactly.
What we going to do? And that's how we should be treating ourselves.
Yes.
If we don't do that, we're really not only causing harm to ourselves, but then we're harming our colleagues, our
Mhm.
staff, our community. Because if you are on empty,
That's right.
I don't have
Okay.
nothing to give you. And so what we see when we see people talking about, well, she got an attitude today. Did you ever think that she just don't have it today? Like
Mhm.
we need to offer grace is a part of self-care.
Yes, it is.
Having grace for one another and holding one another in the moments where I feel like I want to knock you down or push you out my way is grace. And we cannot do this work if we're not offering grace to ourselves, which will extend from in to out. And when we see people, we're like, oh, she's always so full of light. It's because she offered herself some grace, I promise you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so those are my tips for self-care. It is the tenet I'm trying to learn to live, because life is short.
Mhm.
Last year, in a year and a half, I lost 4 Black women to breast cancer that were dear friends of mine. And as a survivor, know that that is more painful than having it, because you're like, why you and not them?
Yeah.
And like I said, I fight every day because a push for me was Fanny and Audrey. They are not, I feel like I'm gonna get emotional, but even in the spirit of Cali House, um, we've had so many Black women that have been on the ground and offered so much and poured so much into us. We don't even know that they poured it, but they poured it, and they poured it sometimes in blood. I don't have any other way to say it. And so to not stand on the lessons that they have laid before us. Fanny laid, if you know her life, she laid it down for us. And she said, each time I'm gonna return to this little corner of Mississippi. So Louisiana could keep coming. Georgia could, we know the southern states go southern in the white southern way. And we just have to stand in it, but in a very graceful way. that we are offering care to ourselves and our community and our colleagues, our comrades. That is the self-care that is needed for us to get to these next 20, 30 years we're trying to see the wins.
That's what I'm saying. Because they want us to fail. They want us to take each other out, right?
Yeah.
You know, Black women, we already have to navigate a health system that don't believe us, don't care about us. So if we're doing the work to take ourselves out, that's something I learned working with y'all is just like we gotta care for ourselves, because if what's the point if we're not going to be here because we made ourselves sick?
Can I tell people what you told me when I came back to work? I don't know if you remember. So when I came back to work, so Des became interim where I was out because at Women Division we like our own people. I don't want nobody else. Desiree been here, she's dedicated. We talk about like how Laura, Des, Shaquita, and myself, y'all, we would be coming up with stuff, and y'all you would have thought we were children playing some new game that we found on the whiteboard with paper and just. And for whatever reason, y'all, we used to eat a lot of guacamole all day long. But guacamole was our snack of choice, right? But it was the synergy that we had. I would go somewhere and I could come back and tell these three people what took place, who I talked to, and they gonna come back with a whole grant. This is what I'm gonna send to so and so because you said so and so. And I was like, man, we got a thing going on. So why would I choose somebody else? But when I came back to work, Desiree said, I need to talk to you. She said, I got to go. Because I'm a writer. I'm a storyteller. And I'm having some health issues since you've been gone. And she said, so I got to go. And I cried because I was like, oh my God. But it was like, go, Des. Go write. Go be what is your offering to this movement. Right? When Laura lived in New Orleans for a minute and she was like, well, this kind of academic world is taking me here. I was like, go. Stay grounded. Don't let the people get to you, girl. Kind of thing. But it's that type of understanding we have to have when your person say, I need to step away. We should not even question it. Other than to make sure you're okay and how can I show up for you when you step away. Yeah, it's like I feel like I lost something, but Desiree used to say women with a vision is small but mighty. I say every single person that ever came inside Women with a Vision and left a piece of themselves, then they're really not gone. And the book, my mom said, what feels good about this book is Black women's history. It cannot be erased once you put it in black and white. And so the story of not just us, but everybody in the book, because it's not, we talk about a lot of people in the book. There's many voices. The people, we might have to do a Fire Dreams 2.0. But it really is about just I've been living in this state of grace, even in y'all know me, I get mad real fast a lot of times. But even in that, I'm trying to be graceful. And I don't plan on sitting down. So I'm just trying to hold space to expand in a way that feels right. But also if I need to shrink myself, that I'm allowed to. Yes. And that's kind of like the thing we aren't allowed to do. If you're a badass and you've been loud and you've been fighting, once you get past 50, y'all, that look real different. It looks real different. I remember when you couldn't keep me from a protest, I was willing to be arrested. You could knock me down. You could do me all kind of stuff. By the time I got to like 35, 40, I was like, I don't want nobody knocking me down no more. My bones hurt. I can't do it like that, but I will support people who will. Right.
Give you that ride.
So again, the reason I keep going back to that is because I feel like there's a lot of questions on the table about how people are in this moment. And we tired. I mean, we down for the fight, but we are worn out, y'all. And if you are really trying to push somebody out this movement, you need to move yourself out the movement, maybe. But people should have space to enter how they need to, as long as you're not disruptive. And then we need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it really is about making space. This movement and as many issues we have in this world, they're the same globally by design. And there's enough work for all of us. And all I'm saying is make space for people to enter as they should and how they can.
Oh, okay. There's so many nuggets there. I just want to let that breathe. I feel like I shouldn't even ask the question. I should just listen to you talk. Hey, everybody. My name is Inas Khalida Mahdi. Hey, Monica. I'm the vice president of a reproductive and maternal health collaborative for equity and justice. I'm also a doctoral student, a mama, and a whole lot of other things, as we often are. You shared so many nuggets today. And one thing that I picked up on that you said was just talking about like how people are cyclical in their funding, right? So they'll take their funding away. You're a cult superstar one day, the next day you ain't nothing.
Yeah.
So right now, as we are seeing the rise of activism around Palestinian justice for Palestine, I'm curious how you see our organizations responding when funders are not supportive of that level of advocacy. And some of the folks in the room, we've had this conversation before really recently with Sister Song, just about how do we make a path for new funding, or what kind of strategies have you used when those people's like, oh, harm reduction is that's over, that's done, that's not the hot topic anymore. How do we make sure that we're continuously being radical in our approaches when we might be the favorite or the darling of whatever funder that's got a separate interest that we don't even know has come up yet until there's another global conflict. So just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Ooh, let me get some water. Let me get.
Oh no! I already did. I already did. I'm happy to do it again with you.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to know that I'm answering this question the very best that I can, and it is coming from a place of it's Mary Hood, y'all. You miss me talking about you, Mary. I called you in. You did. I did. And so as I answer this question, know that I am just answering from me. Deon Elaine Haywood, daughter of Catherine Haywood, and granddaughter of Jen, G-I-N Jen. I think that much is asked of Black women. Much is asked for us, and oftentimes what is not asked of others. And so I want you to see the strange in that.
Yeah.
And the strange is some of us, we can't help but hold white supremacist ways of thinking. We live in this world. We were born into this world, and we're here. But I often feel like you are asking questions of Black women that we are unable to answer. And we have been on the front line for everybody. We are on the, I don't know about y'all, but I've been on the front line for everybody, and no, everybody don't show up to be on the front line with me. And if you're online or in this room or anywhere and somebody go back and say it, how I said it, this is what I mean. What I mean is we're seen as the holder. My wonderful wife always says all the time that everybody wants Black women to be the pack mule. See, we done cleaned up for y'all. That's right. Give me a little patience with this question. We have cleaned up. We have fed your children, nursed your children, washed your drawers, washed your man drawers, your children drawers, cooked for you, and you have kicked us, whipped us, and we still had to stand back up and get up and smile at you the next day. That still exists. It just looks different. And so, since people believe Black women to be the pack mule, they also believe that we got to save them before we save ourselves. We got to jump in. I got to hold all y'all because you Black and y'all always fighting. Fight for me too, without seeing that I am fighting for you. Not fighting by yourself. We're fighting for everybody. Black people, and somebody not gonna like this, I don't know if I care, but our fight, this fight, has been ongoing. And you know who been in it since the beginning? Us. We be the mic. We be the torch. We be the holder. Some of us has funding that when you sign that grant, it says you will not speak out against Israel. I said the word. Some of us, I know on my staff, I have a lot of beautiful young women, young queer folk who just purchased a house in the last 3 years. I go to bed at night thinking, Jamie got 3 kids. Jamie's daughter just started college. This one got this, because Black women think about everybody. And so I want people to understand, just because, even if I make a statement, stop assuming that our power don't change anything other than we made a statement. But is it in the power of the work we do every day? Is it in the power of lifting up everybody all the time that we are fighting? We do speak out, and we do say, as a people who was robbed from their land, bought to this land and never got the land that was promised to us, may never get the land. That at the end of the day, we're always asked to hold, but sometimes we can't. And I feel like it's okay. It's kind of like the grace thing I was just talking about. It's like, why are we? I ain't seen nobody go to no others and ask them to make a statement, go out and say something, go fight it, bring it. We have not seen that. And if it's happening, let me know. Because I'm not going to take back what I said, but I'll just add it to what I said. That I heard that some people is doing a thing. It is the same way we've seen, whether we like all the time the Black politicians we see put in office, Black men who have become mayors in cities that all the time past mayors, they have done everything to our people. And not in the name of justice. And not of the name of fairness or equality or none of that stuff. But if you think about how Black women are seen in leadership, again, hold my baby, get this funded, write that grant, come and organize. Can you feed me? Can you hug me? Love me, fix the world, Black women. Y'all say y'all in the front, you say you on top. Be on top of me. But if you want me to be on top of you, can you stand right with me? Can you stand next to me in a way that makes me feel like, now you my comrade? See, Laura and I talk about this all the time. I don't have many white friends. And I'm all right with that. Laura, in a fight, Laura will take you out for me. I've seen her do it. She look all nice. But she's savage. I will take her. When the revolution comes, Laura gonna be beside me. Her baby on her back. She gonna be beside me. If you're not beside me, but you always want me to lay down for you, which you can't ask me to do, and I'm unwilling. And I think I speak for many of us, we're just unwilling to do the things that y'all want us to do when you want us to do it. It does not mean, I am seriously pushing back on, you think it doesn't affect us? We're people that understand land. We understand life. We understand value of place. Just living in the U.S. South. Y'all, we feel it every day. For Hurricane Katrina, everything about New Orleans would have made you think it was Haiti, the Caribbean, and somewhere on the continent. Not a major U.S. city where everybody loves to come. It was like they pulled the cover off. And so in some ways, this moment we're in, the cover's off,
Yes.
But some people still hiding under the mattress. We have never been able to hide, so I don't think that's what's happening. And for funders, I don't know if there's an answer to that, but if you're going to have to walk away, you will have to walk away. Because what you can't do is compromise yourself and your principles. Yes, I like to eat. And those of you who know me, I love a good set of nails. I love a good red lip. I like fashion. I like clothes. I like all the things. And I don't want to lose my comfort. But that is kind of like the wall we're up against. Is a lot of people are comfortable. But see, I really, and this is just my own personal opinion. See, they are right with Black people suffering because that's what they're used to seeing. They're used to seeing us suffer in a way that we always put our body on the line. They get to watch it every Black History Month. They ain't gonna show you nothing. I just gotta show you being eaten by the dogs. I gotta show you being knocked down with the hose. And I'm gonna keep giving you images. Even social media and the news today always shows the most suffering from us. So of course we would be asked to again be on the line without regard for what we would lose. And I'm not talking about like an organization, because really our organization is gonna go because funding goes. It's gonna change. It will look different. And sadly, we may lose some people, but the analysis and the framework in which the work was built on will always exist because it's inside of us. And we hold it. And for women with a vision, it's generational, right? For all of us, it's generational. And so I would just say that all we could do is the best that we could do. I don't have a profound answer. Oh, okay. But it was more that we do the best that we can. And how powerful would it be if we just could crack the code to the very thing they keep using against us? See, if you argue with me, then we're not arguing with them. If I'm constantly arguing with you and you and you, and now we got a whole thing where we all just arguing with each other. In the meantime, they sitting over there like, right? And so I'm gonna just say that there is no right or wrong answer. It is, if you get up tomorrow, sis, and you feel like you can say something, you say it. If you get up tomorrow and you say, I can't think to say, then don't. And it's okay. And we don't have to be nothing that we don't feel like at all on any given day. Because that's also a white supremacist framework to make us think that we got to show up, be right, be full of fire, be ready to fight every day. Some days I won't fight. Some days I just want to sit, and I want to watch TikTok. Even though my TikTok is a different place, it's a very serious place. My TikTok, it's not fun. Somebody got to send me an animal video for me to have animals, because if not, all my social media will make me want to fight or cry. But I just feel like do what you can do, offer what you can offer, ask for a minute together. Ask for, well, can we talk about what this looks like and what you really want from me? Yeah. Like, ask the question. Sometimes we react to somebody, put it on the table, and we're expected to move. White supremacist framework, white supremacist ways. And they're very strong in our community. In other people's, yes, but in our community, because, as a people, we're really punitive. We believe in punishment. It's drilled into us to inflict pain as a way to get the results you want. And so I'm saying I'm not going to be in pain. I'm giving up on being in pain for somebody, because you know what? The world gives me enough of it. And so you just do what you can, and you show up. And if people can't see where your heart is, and they can't see how genuine it is, and also if they can't see that in this moment I am not your enemy, then maybe you are my enemy. That's my baby, y'all. That's my daughter. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
And that's what Loretta has said for years.
Yes.
Loretta has made it clear to us you're a problematic ally.
Yeah.
Not the same as your enemy.
Yes.
Loretta, you said that for more than 20 years.
Yes. She has. And it's just as simple as that. Like, And I have gotten to the point where I tell people, baby, I'm not fighting with you. This movement is so full and so wide. And it actually is, if you allow it, it feeds you. Shh. We talking, y'all. We talking. I get it. But I just want people to hear. Okay. But at the end of the day, it really is like a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I don't have to see y'all all the time. I know who I'm loved by and I know who I belong to. That is movement. That is generational love of not only the hardest parts, but the beautiful parts. And I'm standing on business like these young people. So that's where I'm standing. That's where I'm staying. I'm not, that's all I got.
Ooh, that was a baller.
Thank you.
Also feel like if you have something to say about how anybody runs their organization, you should drop a donation so you can actually like say something about how it's governed, and we wouldn't be determining strategy. I thought I did. Is it? No, it's up.
Oh,
That's gotta know.
okay.
All right. Yeah, folks should drop a donation if you don't want us to be developing strategy that's dictated by foundations.
That part. Which many of us have had to do.
I mean,
Imagine.
so, I think this last question and the first question about like what you would tell young people about resting is interesting to me because of what you mentioned, Laura, about my kind of obsession about strategy right now. And it feels like some people, I'll speak for my generation and younger, are tired because we're running around throwing tactical spaghetti at the wall, praying something sticks without a strategy.
Yeah.
And I think so we're tired, but we actually didn't really do a lot.
Ooh, you said it, I didn't.
Talk about myself. I'll talk about myself. It's me. It's me. I'll talk about me. Y'all can't be mad, right? It was me. Let's just say it was me, right? So, and if you always do what you've always done, you're gonna always get what you always got. So if I always throw tactical spaghetti at the wall and pray something sticks, or treat everything like it's rapid response, or whatever, then I might always be tired, and the conditions might not actually change, right? I feel like so the tool that Fire Dreams is talks a lot about strategy, and it talks a lot about how y'all develop strategy. So, and in fact, I can't remember where it is in the book, but I think it's closer to the end where it shows the picture of the butcher paper. I just want you to talk about like how y'all develop strategy, one, and two, and you started, both of y'all started talking about it early, so I feel like I'm still in Dez's question, just asking you to talk about it again. It's like I think everybody would agree there's been like a crisis in base building. Women with a Vision is clearly the creme de la creme. And I'm curious if you would talk about front porches as a strategy and like why that matters now.
Wow.
Des, I feel like you should take a stab at it as the person who started, like, yes, we always organize, but to be intentional and make it a part of like our programming.
Yeah, goodness. I also just, like Laura, observed for a long time when I first started working with Women with Vision, the methodology, how you did the work, how you were in community, and how you led the story. And in many ways, thinking about those kitchen table conversations, which were strategy conversations, which were vision conversations, which were us thinking through how it worked in the past, what was happening in the present, what we could repeat, and what we had to do differently.
Yes.
And I said, okay, think about it. Think about Southern women, where we be, where our stories are told, how we hold our stories, our front porches, the beautiful front porch we had at the building we were on when I was there with you all. Let's take it there. Let's start there. Let's make this a program. Let's go there. Let's talk about how we bring folks in to tell the stories about what's happening in the community right now, because that is the meat. That's the data, right? That's the stuff that they ask about. What's happening, and folks coming to tell their stories about how they're doing, how they're surviving, what they need, and what they need from us. because that's how we know,
Most
right?
important.
Yeah.
So in many ways, I thought like, oh, that's it. How grandma did it. You know, when she was speaking Creole French, I didn't understand what she was saying, but they were organizing something on that front porch.
Yes.
And I said, that's how we've always done it. So let's make that a part of how we do the work too. And in many ways, it's whether it's mobilizing in a van, doing the same way, it was us taking it into a modern spin, right?
Yeah.
And so observing, learning, and thinking about how we could implement it in that modern context, you know?
One of the things that this have been, as Deon was talking about and listing off white supremacist strategy, strategy. One of the things that this brought up for me, and we say it a bunch of times in the book, is that things don't have to be visible in order to matter. That in fact, the reason, like the past and history that women with a vision had to make present in order to rise from the ashes.
Yes.
That's been passed down and cared for in all sorts of spaces that were intentionally shielded from surveillance. And so a piece, I think, also is like honoring that it is a radical thing to be sitting on a front porch,
Yes.
to be in a space that is beyond being surveilled, to be in a space that, I mean, the number of post-Katrina restrictions that were trying to tear down the literal very spaces that folks were gathering and trying to live, and like being able to hold that and understand that, to honor different ways of building knowledge, to honor the way that, I mean, we've seen it, we're not technically sitting on a porch, but that is literally what's been happening for the last long time that we've been sitting here. That's one person's story picks to another, and that the knowledge is made that way, that it's not a linear process. It's not a like take A, input B, get out C, the type of crap that foundations try to destroy our movements by making us do like little actionable campaigns as opposed to base building and movement work. So part of this is like exactly what you said. It's like we do what we do, and we honor the knowledge that is passed around that way. It's like a way that we've turned research on its head, is knowing that the like number one researcher is the person who's lived on that block for 60 years, knows every single person, knows every way that people pass. That is actually what research is, not these, that is evidence
right there.
Yeah. And I every single program that we have had, and I'm gonna pick on Shaquita for 1 minute. Hey, White. We had a funder one time, and they said, basically, the question was like, "Why y'all doing this? Like you're doing it? Is this right?" We're like, "What are your programs?" And Shakuta's like, "What?" She was like, "Our programs are our programs. Our programs have been what they are since the beginning. They have not. They really haven't changed. We've changed parts of it to modernize it, but they are the same. And each one of our programs, you know, so we did HIV prevention, women's health, queer health, health for whatever we've had to do it, we just added to, but they've been the same programs, right? It's also after the No Justice win, the women who were a part of the No, and this is why it's important for us as a movement to treat each other better, because everybody didn't come off that sex offender registry at the same time. It was only the first 9 people who were part of the original criminal lawsuit against the state of Louisiana. And you know what that looks like in a court, right? Have to be the just right person as a strategy. But when we won and we had that cake that said we won, all the women who were in the office, and I'm talking about 30 other women who were not taken off. Their conditions had not changed. They still would have to register. They still would have to show up and not show up and be in places and do whatever is asked of them because you kind of belong to the system now, right? It's simply this. They were like, "We won! Miss Deon, what the fuck we doing next? Those are the people I want to work with. Miss Deon," or to have somebody be, "I'm 49 years old. I have never voted. Whether you agree with voting or not, I guess what many times I don't agree with it. I don't want to vote with the people, but right now it's a tool that we have to keep some things that I don't even use. Let's be real. I'm holding, and this yet again is harm reduction, and yet again, this is how Black women, which is why we are in the voting game, show up. We vote every single time for interests that may not even be our own. But if I know everybody in this area of the city gonna need that extra $30 on that card, then I'm gonna have to go up and show up and vote. Right? And we have to stop like dismissing strategies, because right now everybody that's saying what they ain't gonna do, and I ain't okay. All right. I can't get into that, right? That's that I need liquor to talk about that.
That's the after party.
That's the after. But the programs are the same.
Yeah.
Those women said, well, Miss Deon, we need to be talking to everybody. And y'all, our community gets it.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because they live it every day.
Yes.
And Shaquita is really the silent partner. Y'all know her. She don't be wanting to talk to people that much, but she'll write you some shit that'll kill you, that'll take you out, right? But when we used to do outreach for No Justice, and Quita went talked to the little ladies at the church. Let me tell you about older Black women and my wife. They love her. They love her, tatted up, dreads up, men's clothing, you name it, they love her. And you know why they tell her they love? I love you, baby, because you. And this is the sweetness that exists in our communities. See, we assume that because they old, that they don't know nothing, they ain't seen what we coming with. The girl ain't been here, they didn't seen all of it before. We're just more vocal, we're just more seen, but they've seen it already. But Shaquita, they were like, nah, you say these women gotta do what? The youngest person in the room was 72 and up. And it had to be, I want to say it was 27 women in the room from the church. These were the mothers of the church. What we got to do after we broke it? So you mean to tell me that these women is going to jail for shit people do every day for free, for nothing? And only because they can catch them? That's they have access to them. Because street-based sex workers, you have access. And that's who, they're not getting a college student from Tulane or Xavier who's going to make $5,000 in a week because they work for escort service. See, you can't touch them because they meet at the Columns Hotel on St. Charles Avenue for drinks. I'll meet you there at 5. The women they catch are women that we should be loving on every chance we get. It's the girls that we should be loving on every chance we get. And they told me, now, what you want me to do? Who you want me to call? Y'all want to know who made calls? The church women.
Yep.
So this is why I push back on making an assumption that we are some special people. Movement. I'm in movement. That we are special people. And we're, we're special, but we should be making space. Because what made it powerful is nothing like renting a bus and taking a bus full of sex workers to the Capitol.
That's true.
With their full selves, not being, I'm sure many of you, if you've ever been to the Capitol or worked with certain groups of people, now we want the right people to show up, and we got to pick the right people to go in front of people. That's why where we are today. Y'all do know that, right? Because if we'd have let everyday people know that their power, I have the power to tell you that you're not serving me. And you are in office because I put you there because you serve me. See, because we let people say we got to pick the just right people. They got to be able to talk like this and they got to dress well. No. Refusal. Take them to the Capitol. Open the bus doors. Go in and fight. I would just say this before we get to when we're going to close, but the staff just went to the Capitol. I really can't go anymore. I simply can't. Like, I feel myself getting sick every time I go lately because I'm not a beggar. And so and I want y'all to know we need to be, you want to push back on let's stop pushing back on each other and push back on these white women-led RJ saying RH groups, call your senators. What we called them for? We didn't call them. New strategy?
Please, guys.
Please.
New strategy.
Any strategy? But they said when they walked, and these were my staff, age 20. I think Raven was the leader. Raise your hand, Ray. And Raven just 40, but she was the oldest. Her and Shell. Did Shell go? Yeah. So they went and they said, Miss Deon, when we walked in the room, the state police and this white woman who were taking the card said, it's women with a vision. Oh, feel me. You knew who we were. I wasn't there. If you lead an organization, they should know your people when they walk in. They don't have to see you. You know how good I felt? They said, I got the youngest 20. She said, I was so scared. She said, but I kept saying, oh, you know who we are. Then we have every right to be here today. And I'm going to say that youngest person is my niece. It is my mother's granddaughter, my sister's child. And so stop letting these white people tell me that you can't bring your families in. Stop letting them, because we see how they make generational wealth while I'm making generational movement people. And so at the end of the day, stop making them think that every piece doesn't belong. Every a strategy is bringing everybody.
That's it.
If Pookie coming and that's your cousin, bring Pookie. Loretta got the mic, y'all. Look, we didn't all turn around.
I guess it's on, right?
Make sure it's good. All the way up. It's a funny connection. There we go. Sound like
I guess it's on now.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, there's a saying from the civil rights movement that there ain't no hurt like movement hurt.
Ooh.
And I'd like to maybe ask, when we're dealing with all these people who say, I'm not going to get involved, I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to show up at the Capitol, I'm not going to show up because run off this whole kind of self-justifying bullshit about why they going to remain on the sideline. So I want to ask you about the movement hurt that you've been through and how you give an insight to folks that want to stay on the sidelines when our lives are over.
Precious.
You're gonna make us cry.
Wow. Yeah. I think I have experienced every bit of it. Every single bit of it. And first I'll say just the construct of what it means for us to exist and live in this world. The backstabbing from people you trust who are supposed to be the person you fight right against and next to, the person that have helped you and you've helped them and you will go the extra mile for. What I say to people is kind of like, I don't want to feel like I'm repeating myself, but I've been into consistency lately. And that is simply, again, I'm not your enemy. I also have stopped trying to prove my that I'm worthy to the people who's supposed to know my worth. I can't lean in no more to it. I'm stuck. I'm a tree. It's more that if you think you're not going to be hurt in this world, then you need to go sit with yourself and think about it. Because hurt is a part of just existing, but it's how we respond.
Yeah.
I make the joke to some of my colleagues. I was like, I've had disagreements with people in movement, but I really haven't had anybody that felt like we needed to break. Normally the break is because I'm breaking from you because you just ain't healthy for me, but it doesn't mean we can't exist in this realm of movement land. The times we're living in, and we, the other side where I was talking about, they have the long game. Like they've been planning forever, for years. And the idea of resiliency and survival for us and how we're going to move and who we moving with. And I've been in rooms where we sitting to decide who we fighting with today. We should be fighting with everybody. You don't get just to hand pick anybody. It is the sister on the corner with 5 kids, and you know she's struggling because you can see it. Have you talked to her today? Have you spoke to her? Have you asked her, hey sis, how you doing? I have a bag of fruit that we bought. And we do it sometime at the office. We got extra. We probably got the fruit at the office, but that's the tactic. Because I want to show I care. I want her to know that she is a part of this, and it's what we should be pouring into. For people that say you could not vote, we say it all the time. I'm tired because I shouldn't have to vote. I shouldn't have to make a choice out of the choices we have. It's like just in 2024, it shouldn't be where we are, but it is a reality of a racist, white supremacist world, and all the other words I could use is just a part of it. And so part of you voting is also fighting. Part of you voting, I see people say, don't tell me about my ancestors. That's insensitive to tell me about my ancestors. I hate that. Because I watched my grandfather go vote. I watched him put on his suit and button. I watched my grandmother would iron his shirt. And I watched when they would go vote together. It was their proudest moment. If you don't do it for yourself, if you say you love the people, then part of loving the people is using every tool we have in our bag to fight for the people. And so the hurts have to be healed. That's the other thing is we are walking around in pain. We are all walking around just carrying pain. I won't go into it, but I had a situation a few years ago. I am still holding the pain from that. I go to bed thinking about it because I still just like, why would you, like part of me feels like, why the fuck would you do me that? Why would you, like, and you go into other things. All I do is show up. I show up when I can't. I show up when I don't have no energy. All I do is show up. And you try to take me out. But we have to know that people who do that really they're sick. I just have to say that you're not mentally well. Because you could not like me, you could hate me if that's the word you want to use, but to try to do something that would destroy women with the vision itself, the entity that it is, the community piece, the holder of things that nobody else will hold. That's always been the position we pay. And many of you have heard me in a room. A couple of you say, stop saying you're an RJ outlier. Stop saying you're an outlier, because that's how I used to feel like, well, I'll be the only one talking about criminalization. If I'm the only one talking about this, and not everybody want to talk about criminalization. That's something. They want to talk about what it means to be criminalized for having a child. That's another story. Even though Black women have been living that life forever. And I'm going to call Lynn Paltrow's name into the room because Lynn came to Louisiana every single time I called her. What's happening? What part of Louisiana are we going to? And she went in with the quickness, swift and just. That's Lynn.
That's right.
And so it is saying that we do have hurts, but let's work on the healing piece. If there are moments for us to do it together, let's do that. If you have to do self-work, which if you're not, you should be doing self-work. I consider myself to be a woman of magic of different kinds. You're never going to find me sitting in anybody's church. If that's your way, do it. My way is sitting with my ancestors and creating space with them and talking to them and asking them. Mine is candle work and candle magic and manifesting my tomorrows. So far, it's worked for me. But whatever way you lean into what it means to heal, lean in. Whatever way, like pick up the phone, like sometimes even in knowing each other. I remember calling M one time, and M was like, you calling me? But that's because even though people may see M as younger, M is a powerhouse.
That's right. That's right. No question. No question.
Ash, you know how many times I've called you. To all of us in this room, there's nobody in this room. I've laid on Heidi's sofa so many times, sleeping and crying for many reasons. Everybody in this room that I have a relationship with, sometimes just the conversation about how fucked up the world is healing.
Yes.
But if you're holding it all, you are not only harming yourself, but you're harming this movement, because all you can bring to it is the hurt that you feel. And so I just feel like when I say this next iteration of this deeply ingrained one that we're in history, that no, we are all history makers. I said at the In Our Own Voices retreat last week, I was like, I am a part of some amazing people who make history, of Black women, of queer people who make history. And that's not just because I'm the front woman. It is because I'm just a part of this, that I am a part of you and you're a part of me. And there have been times Asha said, do you need to come to Highlander? And not because I'm going to work, but just because I need some rolling hills and quiet.
Yes.
Can I go think? Can I go be? Heidi shared something with me last night. She said, you need to apply for this fellowship because it said you can go away. And also my first thought was like, go away right now? But I'm gonna try to go away for right now. And we all should be able to do that.
Yes.
Right? And I also feel like the beauty is in what we create. And a lot of young people, and they might want to get me for this, but when you ask them, like, how did you brand yourself? Brand myself? Girl, I don't know about no branding, no self. I just show up. This is my world. It's my life. It's how I eat, sleep, breathe. And so when you just do the work,
yes,
if you're looking for fame in this, you don't do it. Because you're gonna be heartbroken. You're gonna talk about hurt, you're gonna be hurt and harmed. But if you just show up as yourself, there'll be moments that we as a movement will see you and we will honor you and we will hold you. That is the healing and the love in every single thing we do. Everything. And Loretta, I love you. I respect you. And I hear you so eloquently and sometimes not. But fiercely letting us know that, girl, you got to lean in. Let that shit go because we have so much work. It's really like Amy said, what you have been saying, for some of us are listening, some of us are not. But that just means we all have to take that message and we have to remember the words you say aren't your own. Once you let them out your mouth, you should hope that somebody takes them and spread them. That is movement building. That is organizing. And maybe the simplest thing we could do is create that space in our offices, create that space in our organizations. One of the things we're bringing back, something that Desiree started, was like throughout Louisiana, we used to do the RJ roundtables. All over Louisiana, organized with women in places like Opelousas, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and places in between that you're like, what? But were packed with Black women and Black women bringing their daughters and their nieces. Y'all, that is the fruit of our labor. Yeah. It is the food we eat. If you are not creating space, and so we're about to get these roundtables going. And I walked in the office and I was like, "What is it?" I'm a mama, Black mama for real. So I'll be like, "What is this? Why is that there?" That's the table for the round table. Because we just putting the table in the street, like wherever intersection we want to be in New Orleans, we're gonna drop the table, put some chairs. You want to talk to me? What you want to talk about? I'm gonna let you choose what you want to talk about. We're gonna talk with you. We don't have to have an agenda for everything. Like and I want people to realize that our people are so hungry to connect.
Yes.
That the silos that we're leaving them in, y'all, are unfair. We get the beauty of each other. And that is what we should be offering up as a tool of freedom. How free is it when you get to speak your words? How free is it you feel the power in saying what you feel? Like we all stand on that. We feel it's what fuels us to do the work that we do, especially when you know you said it right. And right is however it comes out your mouth.
That's it.
And so that for me is like is how I see the future of movement. It's how I see this living archive that we have. Like I've been allowing myself to dream a little more. I don't feel as stuck since the book came out. I feel like I see the future clearly, sometimes cloudy, but in terms of to be able to move and visit our comrades across this country and sit and dream and strategize, because I ain't sitting with nobody and got no strategy no more. I'm not doing that no more. I'm gonna leave that for others. But if we they'll do it. They're gonna do it. But if we can't sit in the room and pull out that butcher block paper and you ain't got 20 notes and we going back and forth, and like Desiree said, like sometimes people think everything is like the scream, the holler, to get in the front. Yeah, that is it. But what did we write? What did we scribe? What did we leave for the next generation to organize with. Because everybody came before us, they left us something. Loretta is still leaving us stuff every day. Every day. Billy is leaving us something every day. And it's so simple. Shaquita and I sat down with Billy and Dr. Mary Frances Bear one time, and we just ready. We're like, we about to get these lessons. And Billy said, how y'all planning for y'all life? She was just sitting back with a glass of wine. How you planning for your life? You own anything? You have to use some of this strategy to build for yourself. Y'all got real estate? How cheap is it in the world? I mean, and we felt like we was trying to answer the questions, but really some of the lessons is how to live. It's how to live. And so some of the foremothers of women with a vision, they're not here because they didn't take care of themselves. And life was hard and they struggled in many different ways. And so at the end of the day, to scribe, to strategize is to build. To scribe, to strategize, to write and share. Because if you're trying to own it as your own personal thing, again, this movement is not for you. Go sit over there and plan your book, plan your little tour, your little talk. But it's not for the people if the people aren't included and you don't want to share it freely. That is the fruits of our labor. When I watched Fanny last week, I was like, Fanny had told me too many times what I need to be doing. We listened. We moved. We are the daughters of Fannie Lou Hamer. We are the holders of the joy and pleasure that Audrey told us you better get. Oh, and fight. Asada still showing us without seeing her. How powerful is that? And so it is in that vein that we have to move. That I, some like when I had cancer, I used to be like, what am I leaving? But for those of you who know my granddaughter, Bunny Haywood, who is the movement baby, the Aries, who's turning 17 on Sunday.
Not us.
I know we don't want to hear it, but Bunny is the fiercest Black little feminist I know, because she don't care. She love Bunny. I can be, let me see. I'll be homecoming. I'll be Miss Junior, but I'm a try out for this flag football team because I won't run the ball. And I choose, and just watching her choose herself every time without the constraints many of us have had to live with, heals the Black girl in me.
Yes.
So the investment is not just in our children. Bunny don't belong to just me. That's what I'm saying. Which I'm hoping college is Atlanta, because one thing I know, she gonna eat. And somebody in the room actually said, now if she get in trouble and I go get her, I ain't telling you every time. I know the people who said that, but the aunt, and you know what? I was like, I don't need to know because I know she'll be cared for. Is that not the very legacy we want to leave our movement?
Yes. Right. That's right.
And if young people are getting it wrong, I want to say get it wrong because we got it wrong a couple of times. But we also have to hold space for them to get it right. But also hold space for us to walk away. And when I say walk away, not leave, but it's not for me to, this is not mine. Somebody, but not me. So.
Yes. Yes, please.
We're gonna invite our folks who are physically here. If you don't have a book, you can buy a book up at the front counter.
Please buy a book, y'all.
Our folks who are online, who want to buy a book, you can click that teal button at the bottom center of the screen to buy Fire Dreams from Karis. It really does help us when you buy event books from us. Thank you so much for being with us. We really, really, really appreciate it. And we will get some books signed and send them out while supplies last. So thank you.
Thank y'all.